For this video, I'm going to take you on a tour of Ruby Falls, an underground cavern attraction located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Well, before I get started, I just wanted to welcome you to another video, and I'd hope you'd consider clicking on that follow or subscribe button above. I'm on several platforms right now, and whether you're talking about YouTube or Dailymotion, the number of active subscribers really help distribute the videos, so you'd be really helping this channel by clicking on that button. Okay, so now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about Ruby Falls. As a travel vlogger, I've visited probably about a dozen of these underground cavern attractions, whether you're talking about Florida Caverns Park or Luray Caverns, and now today Ruby Falls. I've seen quite a few of these places, and I know I'm kind of jumping to the bottom line early on this one, but Ruby Falls is the best one. The execution of this particular attraction is just above the others. For starters, it's the only cavern I've ever seen that has a naturally occurring underground waterfall. And I'll show you that at the end of the video. Another thing that I've noticed about Ruby Falls over the other caverns is the walkways are cut out a little better. You know, the openings are wider. I remember having to squeeze through a couple sections in Luray Caverns, but in here they just cut out a better, bigger path. So even I'm not even a large guy. I'm only about 160 pounds and 5'10", but I remember having to duck a lot and squeeze through some really tight passages in some of the other caverns, and this one I didn't have any issues. I mean, there was only one or two places where I had to lower my head just a hair, but this is definitely one of the easiest underground caverns to navigate. Another thing that pushes Ruby Falls above the others is they have the best lighting packages. I mean, all these underground cavern attractions, they do bring in the colored lighting and try to give you some mood lighting for just making the caverns more interesting to look at. So, I mean, let's face it, all the other caverns also have mood lighting with the different colors, and, you know, they all look good, but for Ruby Falls, when you get to the waterfall at the end of your walk, they actually have a light show that's synchronized to music, and it's a good 10-minute cycle, and it's just, like I said, I've never seen that in any other caverns. So Ruby Falls is just kind of like in a class above the rest. A couple quick disclaimers. If you are someone who struggles with claustrophobia, you might have some issues in here. Even though this is the largest underground cavern I've been in, there's still some tight sections where the roof is kind of low, and I can see how it might trigger some people with anxiety. You also should wear some slip-resistant shoes because there are some water features throughout this cavern where there are walkways, and they can be very slippery. The wet rocks are pretty treacherous in sections. There's also no restrooms down in the caves because you're a couple hundred feet underground. You definitely want to use the restroom before you ride the elevator downward because you're going to be down there for a good 90 minutes, and you're going to have to hold it. Another thing I'm going to point out is it's a bit of a walk. You know, once you ride the elevator down there, you're going to walk a half mile through the caverns to the underground waterfall, and then it's a half-mile walk back to the elevator. So you got to be in decent enough physical condition that you're capable of walking a mile, because to see the attraction in its entirety, you got to do that. As for the attraction itself, it's absolutely beautiful. It's located on the top of Lookout Mountain in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it's surrounded by other tourist attractions located here. So there's plenty of things to do if you're on vacation. But there were a lot of things that I've never seen done in other cavern tours. Like, they have an introduction movie that they play before you get started on the walk. And they talk about how the guy who founded this place named the whole caverns after his wife, Ruby. And speaking of the founder, the guy's name was Leo Lambert. And he opened this place in 1928. So this is a tourist attraction that's pushing 100 years old now. And you can definitely tell why it's still around, because it's the best of its kind. So an admission to the cave tour runs about $24 for adults and $13 for kids, which is pretty typical. Most of the caverns charge similar prices. They also have a lantern tour where they turn off the lighting packages in the caverns, and you basically just have more or less a lantern flashlight to walk through and explore, kind of old school. That one's a little more expensive. That one runs about $40, but it's definitely interesting, and I've never seen that offered at the other caverns. Ruby Falls is also conveniently located near several other popular Chattanooga tourist attractions like Rock City, the Incline Railway, the Battles for Chattanooga, the Tow Truck Museum, as well as the High Point Zip Line Adventure. They also have a pretty large gift shop as well as an on-site restaurant, so there's plenty of things just to do in the Ruby Falls facility. So what's my bottom line for Ruby Falls? I highly recommend it. I've never seen a cavern tour as elaborate as this one. That Underground Waterfall is such a unique feature. It's worth the price of admission by itself, in my opinion. Chattanooga itself is also one of my favorite places to go on vacation. There's something about the old school attractions that are located here. Ruby Falls being kind of a retro type of attraction, and I just love the family-owned Lake Winnie amusement park that's nearby as well. Every time I come here, I feel like I'm jumping into the DeLorean to do a little time traveling back to the 1930s or 40s. Just about all these attractions here in Chattanooga date back close to 100 years. It's just a lot of fun to experience that retro vibe. Well, that's pretty much everything I've got to say about Ruby Falls, so I'm just gonna wrap this video up with a little music. Thanks for watching this episode of The Adventure Schmuck. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See everyone next week.